Y'all, I am flabbergasted right now. Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope everybody's having a wonderful week. I hope everybody's feeling good in the holiday spirit. As you guys can see, I am, well, maybe you don't know. I'm filming on my phone. We're taking it a little bit back old school for this video because we have to talk about this, y'all. I'm losing my ever-loving mind here. Okay, so I was putting together my information right here that I wanted to talk to you guys about the Menendez brothers and the situation that happened where the DA came out in October of 2024 and said that they were recommending, or he was recommending, resentencing for the brothers. And I was going to tell you guys my opinion on it, what I think should happen and why. And I was going to bring you the facts of why and how. And then I went to go and research another part of it, and I found out something new that happened and came out, and it threw me through a complete tizzy. So we're going to talk about all of that today. Before we get into it, though, I did want to let you guys know, if you don't already know, hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We just do things way more casually over there. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon's for 18 and up. And over there, we talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there. There is a $2 tier for all the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies. That goes over on my Patreon under the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the full about section of what each tier offers before you join. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and I'm also on Like to Know It. Like to Know It is a platform where you can find links to the things that I like and use or that y'all ask about. Everything from workout gear. I know a lot of people's going to have their New Year's resolutions coming up. And listen, don't let nobody have you feel silly for making New Year's resolutions. I love making New Year's resolutions. Do I always keep them? No. But I like making them. I mean, what is a life without goals? Anyways, you can find links to all kind of stuff over there, from workout gear to cooking utensils to clothing items, makeup, skincare, all that stuff. And all of those platforms are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. You guys, it is late. I'm getting ready to take my son to youth service, but we got to talk about this because it is on my mind and my heart. So I'm going to give y'all a very, very brief, not in-depth recap on Erik and Lyle Menendez and the situation, only so we can go from there, because I did a whole video on them and you guys can go and watch it, and a lot of y'all probably know the story. So back in 1989, Erik and Lyle Menendez captured national attention after the siblings were arrested for the situation that happened with their mother and father, Jose Menendez, and she went by Kitty Menendez. Now again, I have a whole video on that. Most people know exactly what happened and what they did. Now what I do want to say is most people that I've talked to, even people in my personal life, when we go live on Patreon and we talk about this, most people have gotten their information from news sources or headlines or documentaries, like the new movie that came out on Netflix earlier this year, 2024. And it was very popular, and the movie's name was Monsters. This was a reenactment of the story that was allegedly or loosely telling the brothers' lives, which I never watched. I did not watch it because I saw the statement that was released from the Menendez family, and so I personally chose not to watch it. If y'all watched it, no shame in it. I mean, I kind of wanted to watch it, but I do feel emotionally invested in this situation, and I'm going to tell you guys more about that later. I don't typically just not watch things because of certain statements that are released, but in this case, I did. I was like, I'm not going to watch it because of this. So it was very, very popular. Lots of clips from it went viral over on TikTok, and it kind of romanticized the brothers, and it just was a movie, okay? And Erik and Lyle were not happy about this, nor was the rest of the Menendez family. The Guardian even put out an article with the headline reading, Menendez family criticizes Netflix monster, a grotesque shock drama. And I'll pop up the statement right here because 24 members of the Menendez family got together and released this statement. And in this statement, as you guys can read, and you can pause to read if you need to, they go on to talk about how they support the brothers, how they love them, how they want them home, and basically how awful the movie that was created depicted them and how it was very untrue. And that was another part that got me. Like, if the family's saying that what was in this movie was untrue, I didn't want no part of that. Now, the Menendez brothers did put out a documentary where they actually spoke in it from prison on Netflix this year, 2024. I do suggest going and watching it. I watched it with my husband, and the name of it is The Menendez Brothers. Even though I watched the documentary that they were in, it still left so much important stuff out of it. I'm watching it and thinking, if people are only watching these documentaries, that's probably why they have the opinions that they have. By the way, everything in this video is alleged. I don't know any of these people personally. Please go do your own research, form your own opinion. I'm forming my opinion from very public information that is already out there. You guys can find the same information that I have, but go do your own research. After the situation happened with the boys and the ending of the lives of their mother and their father, they went on to have their first trial. Okay, now they had their first trial, and this is the trial that Court TV covered. And you can find lots of videos on this on YouTube. Stay to the end of this video, okay? The boys testified to what their father, Jose Menendez, did to them. Now, I want to remind y'all that this first trial was back in the 1990s, okay? There was no internet like there is now. The boys could not go and research, how do I fake something? How do I fake cry? Or what story would be good to get me out of, right? I believe with my whole heart that what they testified to was true, okay? Now, the Menendez brothers also had 50 witnesses that testified for them. What other, and y'all watch true crime, okay? How many other people that are arrested for a heinous crime like they were arrested for, and that they did do, have that many people testifying for them, including the victims' family members? Yeah, they went through that whole trial. It was a hung jury, and then they had to go to trial again. Now, mind you, before they went to trial again the second time, this is when the media started doing what the media does. Okay, now y'all know, probably most of y'all know by now, that we'll just say it like this, not everything that you see on the news or in the media is true. And sometimes there's a motive behind what is pushed out in the media. And sometimes it's regurgitated by a bunch of different news sources. In this period of time, this is when the media started putting out all kind of stuff talking about their first trial testimony and was making fun of them, was laughing at their testimony, and even to the point that Saturday Night Live did skits on the boys crying.
Then can you tell the court who did murder your parents?
Our other two brothers, Danny Menendez and Jose Menendez Jr.
And once again, I don't suppose they would come out of the bathroom for anyone but you two, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, if you have never watched the Menendez brothers testify, then you don't realize how sickening that was. I love a good joke. Matter of fact, I love a good controversial joke. I'm not gonna lie. I like to, I'm from the 80s. We clown on ourselves and each other. But those Saturday Night Live skits were absolutely disgusting. Nevertheless, this is what people are seeing. This is what people are seeing in the media. There's no social media or internet sources for them to see anything different. They go back to trial the second time, and this time the judge says, you're not allowed to bring in any of the abuse that happened to you. We're not going to talk about that at all, which is absolutely crazy, okay? And so therefore, they weren't allowed to bring in the people that testified for them, so it was a totally different trial. In that trial, they were found guilty, and they were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. They were 18 and 21 when this all started. That was 35 years ago. Since then, a lot of people have been thinking that they should be released. And a lot of people think that they should not be released. What do I think? I think that they should be released on parole, and I'm going to tell you why. The first thing is they should have went to prison. They should have gotten in trouble, or maybe if not prison, they should have done 10 years in some sort of rehabilitation place. That's the same thing that I said about Gypsy Rose. But instead, Gypsy Rose got sent to prison to be around other criminals when she had been manipulated her whole life and then let out, which, whatever. I thought that the boys had been manipulated and their whole entire lives. As a matter of fact, one of their cousins who testified in their behalf in the first trial ended up not being able to go on. We'll just say that. And he is no longer with us in this earth. But he even testified to something that Erik had told him when they were young.
Do you recall a time when your cousin Erik was playing at your house where in the course of your time together he told you something you had not heard before?
Yes, I do.
And do you recall how the conversation began?
Well, yes, I do.
Okay, would you tell us how it began?
He asked me if my dad ever gave me massages.
There's something else he told you about the massages? Like where they were?
Yes, he did.
Okay. What did he say about where the massages were?
Well, he told me his father was massaging his.
He used that word?
Yes, he did.
So then does he ask you again, does this happen to you or anything like that?
Yes, he, at that point, we were both trying to figure out whether what was happening to him was normal. He wanted to know that if this happened to every kid with a father and son relationship, and I couldn't help him. I didn't have a father around.
Now, before we go over what the DA said and even more reasons why I think that they deserve resentencing, if you have not watched Erik and Lyle testify, they're long testimonies, okay? Put on some headphones, especially if you have children at home. It's definitely not something that I would be playing on my television with my little ones around or anything like that. Listen to them testify. Don't go watch another documentary. Don't go read another article. When you're finished with this video, I will link them down below in the description box. Go and listen to them tell you what happened to them. Do I believe what they did is right? No. Should they have been in trouble? Yes. However, this is not a situation where, let's just talk about like Colt Gray that I did the video on a few months ago, who everybody in his family saying that he had a bad childhood and he had to deal with all this stuff. And because of that, he went to a school where there were innocent little ones and brought a firearm and did what he did. That don't make that there's no connection there. But these young men basically ended the lives of their abusers, and their family stuck behind them because they knew. The DA that prosecuted the boys, they're men now, they're in their 50s, said herself that she looked far and wide everywhere she could to get anybody to come in and testify on the behalf of their father, Jose Menendez. Because see, all the photos that you see of their family are like this. They're all smiling. I mean, he looks like a very approachable, nice man. She could not find a single person, not even his own mother or family members, that would come in and testify that he was a good man. Everybody said he was a monster. I believe the DA said except for his secretary for whatever reason, but everybody said that this man was evil and awful. That's why their family still sticks by them. Now, does that mean that if you're evil that your children can go off and do this type of thing? No, it absolutely doesn't. But what I'm saying is, when you're raised in these situations and the things that were done to them are done to you, I can make the connection how they would snap one day and do what they did. Is it right? No. And they shouldn't have done that. And as a matter of fact, it bothered them so much that Erik was literally going to therapy afterwards. That's how they got caught, because he told his therapist he was so depressed. They were in the public going through the motions, felt like they had to step in their dad's shoes and, we're going to ride in limos and we're going to do all that. First of all, they didn't have no doggone home training, in my opinion. Both of them were in top-notch colleges, but if you read some of their writings, they couldn't even spell. You want to know why? Because in my opinion, daddy's money was pushing them through. They were not a normal 18 and 21-year-old. Because of what was going on behind the scenes and because of what their dad and their mom was allowing and turning the other cheek anyways. Again, I do not think that what they did was right and justified at all, but the sentence was not justified in my opinion. Now let's talk about the DA. So LA County DA started off a press conference by saying that there was not a universal agreement within their offices. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of people that believed that the brothers should never get out of prison and did not believe their story of what happened to them when they were younger. But there was a lot of people that believe that they should be let out right now, free and scot-free, okay?
We've had many people in this office spend a great deal of time reviewing the case. I have to tell you unequivocally that we don't have a universal agreement. There are people in the office that strongly believe that the Menendez brothers should stay in prison the rest of their life, and they do not believe that they were molested. And there are people in the office that strongly believe that they should be released immediately and that they were in fact molested. I have to tell you that after a very careful review of all the arguments that were made for people on both sides of this equation, I came to a place where I believe that under the law, resentencing is appropriate, and I am going to recommend that to a court tomorrow.
He went on to say that with resentencing, that he was going to request that they are sentenced for murder instead of murder life without the possibility of parole.
What that means in this particular case is that we're going to recommend to the court that the life without the possibility of parole be removed and that they will be sentenced for murder, which, because there are two murders involved, that will be 50 years to life. However, because of their age, under the law, since they were under 26 years of age at the time that these crimes occurred, they will be eligible for parole immediately.
The reason why I believe that is the right move is because they would get out on parole, which means they would still be monitored. But that's not it, because under their sentence that they got 35 years ago, they believed they were going to be in prison. And as of now, they've exhausted all their appeals, so they're never, ever going to get out. They could have very well went into prison and got into the gangs and got into all the crime and stuff and been in trouble and been running stuff as two famous people in there and but that's not what they've done. The brothers have been in prison, and the DA talked about looking at the prison records, and they've been in there helping others. And we've talked about this in my videos before. If y'all have been here with me, then y'all know every now and then at the end of the video we talk about this, that if you really are changed, if you're really a better person and you get a long sentence, go in there and help others. Go in there and talk to the youth and make sure that they know that they shouldn't end up like you. And that's what these guys did. They created all these different programs to help different people. As a matter of fact, I even saw an interview with one guy who said that the Menendez brothers basically changed his life and put him on the right path.
At that time, I believe I had done an interview with MTV in the middle of the day room because I had an album come out. So they came into the institution to interview me. And Lyle was watching that. And of course, he's done Barbara Walters and things that I consider to be, significant. And so he saw that happening, and he just kind of gave me some advice, because at the time I was still very much a psychologically inactive gang member. And he just told me that he thought I was so much more than that, and that I had an opportunity to use my voice for things that were more important and more meaningful than just being tough and a gang member. And I really thought about that for a long time. And he was one of the first ones to teach me to utilize my influence in a way that would allow me to have positive outcomes for myself and others. And I bought in And then, he introduced me to Eric years later. He wrote him a letter. I transferred to the facility where Eric was housed at. And when I arrived, Eric came looking for me and brought that letter and read it and said, Lyle told him, "This is our little brother. I love him, so you love him too." He took care of me. And I always look at it like Lyle was more the person that was concerned with my psychology, my business understanding, my conduct, things like that. But Eric was more the person that was working on my spiritual development. He taught me meditation, got me reading beyond meditation, things like that, and attending self-help groups, Narcotics Anonymous, all those different things that I ended up doing. But a lot of those aspects came from Eric. And so kind of between the two of them, I had two big brothers.
And mind you, this isn't some guy just trying to get like clout or fame off of speaking about the Menendez brothers. He's doing very well himself. And as a matter of fact, he's getting ready to go to the Grammys because of his work that he's done since he's gotten out. He was put in with the Menendez brothers because he was already famous. So just want to throw that out there so you're not thinking that this is, because sometimes when people get in trouble and they're in prison with somebody that's famous, they get out, they want to tell these stories to get recognized. No, he was already famous. He's still famous. He's already recognized, and he stays in contact with them, and he considers them his brother. He said that the Menendez brothers are the one that told him, "Man, you got a voice, like people listen to you, use it for positive." And they changed his life. The DA also brought up this fact, and I thought that this was so important. You hear about stories where women, and some of y'all, okay, where women are in relationships for long periods of times with their husband, and one day they snap and they end the life of their husband. It's called batter's wives syndrome, right? And we can make those connections. We understand how it happened. Not saying it's right. We don't want to do that. By no means. We want to let the justice system handle and do their due process. But there have been cases that we could see. This situation, in my opinion, is the result of what they had gone through their whole lives, and they snapped. And I mean, this isn't their dad was not a regular Joe Schmo next door neighbor, Mr. Rogers. He was very powerful, very wealthy, and he had a lot of power. And again, they should not have done what they did. It was horrible. It was grotesque. And they've had to live with that every single day. But everything that they have done since then, I do believe that resentencing on parole, where they're going to still be monitored, is the right thing to do. I do not believe in a world where a father or a mother can do these types of things to their children, and if they got enough money, they can get away with it. And a matter of fact, they can make their children disappear if they need to. That's not a world that I want to live in. And I listened to them in an interview. I believe it was in the new Netflix documentary. Somewhere I heard one of the brothers say that they feel like their father still won because they're in prison, and after everything, they almost feel like he still won. And I cannot imagine how haunting that has been all these years after everything they went through when they were younger, and then to be in prison and feel like their father's just looking at them like, I still won. I do want to throw in here too that the family is still sticking by their side. Like I said, 24 family members. We're talking about sisters to allegedly Jose and Kitty. Their siblings have stuck by these boys. There were a lot of people that knew that there were bad things going on, maybe not as bad as what happened, but they were scared of Jose. If y'all watch my videos, that I am not afraid to say, lock them up. I think they deserve the max, or I think she or he deserves the max. This is a situation where I believe these brothers got a way too harsh of a sentence. It should have went differently, and it needs to be made right. Now for the part that has me in a complete tizzy and super ticked. They were supposed to go to court on December 11th, 2024 to go in front of the judge where the DA was going to request the resentencing so they would be released on parole. Again, monitored, okay? Well, that DA was voted out and a new DA was voted in. This guy right here. Well, he is saying, no. I need to research this. I don't know if I am going to suggest that they get resentenced. So their court date has been put off to January 30th of 2025. And unfortunately, there's been a statement that's been released by one of the brothers that said, don't get your hopes up, guys. And that is so sad. I cannot imagine the mind screw for them. They were almost there. They were going to go to court next week. They could have been out by Christmas. Again, all their family standing behind them. They had 50 witnesses on their side back in the 1990s before the new trial, which they were completely railroaded. It's horrifying. I hope that the new DA looks at all the evidence and does the right thing. Parole makes sense. There are people that have done things that have gotten way less time than they have served. And again, I don't know them, but it seems like even while they've been in prison for 35 years, they have been trying to be productive citizens to society. The first DA that said that he was going to recommend this said that the recidivism rate for people with those type of charges is 4%. He said that if all of the recidivism rate was only 4%, that we would have basically a crime-free country. When I was in prison, back when I was 21 years old, almost 20 years ago now, when I got sentenced to prison, the recidivism rate was like 84%. Meaning 84% of people that were in the prison with me within 3 years come back. 3 years. But it's 4% for people that do crimes like them. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. If you are watching this from a device that you cannot look in the comment section, I'm going to put screenshots of their testimonies up here so you can go search it in the bar and watch them. Trigger warning, but watch them with headphones. And let me know what you think. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I hope that the DA does what I believe is the right thing, and obviously a lot of people, including their whole family. Let me know what you think down below. Other than that, I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for watching this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.